Without a strategy, an organization is like a ship without a rudder, going around in circles. It's like a tramp. It has no place to go. Joel Ross and Michael Kami. Good day, everyone. Good morning, good noon, good evening, whatever time of the day you are in now. This is our first topic, I believe, the introduction to strategic management. So, first, I'm going to discuss to you the objective of this study. So, the first objective is to understand the benefits of strategic management, explain how globalization and environmental sustainability influence strategic management, understanding the basic model of strategic management components, identifying common triggering events that act as stimuli for strategic change, understand strategic decision making modes, use the strategic audit as a method of analyzing corporate functions and activities. So technically, these are the things that you should be able to learn not only from probably in the introduction but also as we go along in this course. So, first we have to define strategic management. And we're gonna discuss the history later on. Or along the way, I'm going to give you nitbits of where strategic management comes from. So, according to Wheeler T. and Hunger, strategic management is a set of managerial decisions and actions that determines the long-run performance of a corporation. It includes environmental scanning. The environment has both internal and external environment. Strategy formulation. The strategy formulation, either long-term or short-term range planning. Strategy implementation. Evaluation and control. So technically, strategic management was originally called business policy. You have probably heard already what business policy is, or what is the word policy. So strategic management incorporates such topics as strategic planning, environmental scanning, and industry analysis. So by Young, in 2015, this author defines strategic management as continuous process of strategy creation. It involves strategic process like strategic analysis and decision making, strategy formulation and implementation, and strategy control with the primary objective of achieving and maintaining better alignment of corporate policies, priorities, and of course success. So if you compare the definition of Young with that of Wheeler and Hunger, or probably in your research about strategic management, you will find similarities to it. So, therefore, strategic management emphasizes the monitoring and evaluation of external opportunities and threats in light of a corporation's strengths and weaknesses. So, you might probably capture something along with my words. External opportunities and strength in light of a corporation's strengths and weaknesses. So this is SWOT analysis. So it is part of also of strategic management, and we will have to discuss that along the way or in the future topic we're going to have. So, phases of strategic management. As big company wanted to get along or cope up with the changing environment, they have tried to evolve. And this phases of strategic management is somehow most company generally evolves through this, the steps through this. So in history, it was General Electric as one of the pioneers of strategic planning. They had led the transition from strategic planning to strategic management during way back 1980s. And then, of course, other companies have seen that this strategic management, strategic planning, strategic management is very good and really relevant in the changing environment. So in the 1990s, most other corporations around the world had also begun the conversion to strategic management. This is because they want to increase the risk of error, so they don't want to have a lot of error in their forecasting, in how they manage, or their outputs probably. And then economic ruin, in case if there are other things that might happen in the internal and external environment. So they have adapted to this. So now we are start to discuss the phases of strategic management. So phase 1, basically financial planning. Manager envisage serious planning when they are requested to propose the following year's budget. Projects are proposed on the basis of a very little analysis, with most information coming from within the firm. The sales force usually provides the small amount of environmental information. Such simplistic operation planning only pretends to be strategic management, but probably dili pud kaayo, yet it is quite time-consuming. Normal company activities are often suspended for weeks while managers try to cram ideas into the proposed budget. The time horizon is usually 1 year. So, this is actually still happening now. Every year, some organization, either probably private or public, needs to have budget every year. And they need to create that plan of budget for next year, this year. And because some managers and its staff just do their job during or almost the deadline, or they want to cram on the deadliest deadline. So technically, when they provide a budget or the basic financial planning, it lacks ideas, or probably what they have purchased last year, what they have been doing for the past years. Mura po ibutang nila silang budget. It's because they don't think what is happening or what will happen in the future, or wala kay sila futuristic nga panghunahuna. Basic ra jud siya. So simple ra siya sa operation planning. Walay grand idea. So this is the first step in the evolution. So the next is forecast-based planning. So as annual budget becomes less useful at simulating long-term planning, managers attempt to propose 5-year plans. At this point, they consider projects that may take more than 1 year. In addition to internal information, managers gather any available environmental data, usually on an ad hoc basis, and extrapolate current trends 5 years into the future. Then this phase is also time-consuming, often involving a full month of managerial activity to make sure all the proposed budget fit together. The process gets very political sometimes, as managers compete for large shares of funds, of course. This happens even today. Endless meetings take place to evaluate proposals and justify assumptions, and then the time horizons is usually 3 to 5 years. So the plan is 3 to 5 years, but there are other political issues that involves in the plan. And again, it has only little improvement from the previous financial-based planning. But at least, na-improve na siya gamay. Annual budget becomes less useful. So, sige na siya, magunahuna na siya nga unsay maayo in the next 5 years. Actually, at the moment, you're doing this. You may not think that it is a strategy, but actually it is in your own little way. When you enroll in first year, probably you have applied the basic financial planning. Ginagmay ra, basta kay makapasar. 75, okay na. But, as you evolve, forecast-based planning na ka, you might probably, I need to refocus. I need to change my outlook because I want to have a better future, and a future wherein I will not have a lots of challenges, or if there are challenges, I can do along with it. So you change your focus. Now you change from okay ra 75 to I want to become a dean's lister. I don't need to be a Latin honor, just a Dean's Lister. Then you start doing external and internal environmental scanning. What is that? Internal, of course, what you can control, your strengths and weaknesses. So what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And then external, something that you cannot control. Like the pandemic now, nobody knows that this pandemic will cost us so much. Mentally, physically, financially. So these are something that we cannot control. So you evaluate this and plan from within that. So you might have challenges, political challenges probably within you, but if you already have a 5-year plan, then one way or another, kabalo ra pug ka unsa ano yung pag-manage along the way. You will not see the problem as problem, but you take it as a challenge. When you say a challenge, it's like playing games, right? Some of you are into what's your game right now? I believe some do Dota, Counter-Strike. Others have mobile games wherein you have different levels, right? So in every level, there are challenges. So the same with what's happening now. The same with your strategic plan on how you, and of course, the strategic plans are useless without implementing it and managing it. So inana po na siya sa organization. So forecast-based planning. So now we go to phase 3, externally oriented strategic planning. So now the people in the organizations are frustrated with the highly political yet ineffectual 5-year plans. Top manager takes control of the planning process by initiating strategic planning. So it's the top manager. And then this company seeks to increase its responsiveness to changing markets and competition by thinking strategically. So what shall they do? So planning is taken out of the hands of lower level managers and concentrated in a planning staff whose task is to develop strategic plans for the corporation. So consultants are often, they provide sophisticated and innovative technique that the planning staff uses to gather information and forecast future trends. So top-down planning emphasizes formal strategy formulation and leaves the implementation issue to the lower management levels. Top management typically develops 5-year plans with the help from consultants but minimal input from the lower levels. So they find it that di pa man may kulang pa man Japon. So mag-strategic planning na ta. But if you have observed as you read it, the top management provide a plan, cascade it to the next level management. And then the next level management pod ma-assign ra pog lain nga huy paghimog ko o katupong giyang gi-assign mangita po siya consultant man ibalik pasa sa taas yung taas ibalik na pagpasa sa silong para implementation yung kinsa na ay frontliners may mo implement may mo trabaho blah 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 so mo nilang nakita. And then the next phase is the fourth, strategic management. They have realized already that even the best strategy plans are worthless without the input and commitment of the lower level managers. Top managers forms planning groups of managers and key employees at many levels from various departments and work groups. So technically nakarealize talaga sila tong sa phase 3 nga pag dili man pwede nga kanirang sa kung naay hierarchy katurang sa pinakataas o sa sunod. Na nakarealize silang kinahanglan nato apilon tanan. And then, they develop and integrate a series of strategic plans aimed at achieving the company's primary objectives. Strategic plans at this point detail the implementation, evaluation, and control issues. Rather than attempting to perfectly forecast the future, the plans emphasize probable scenarios and contingency strategies. So, emphasizes probable scenarios and contingency strategies. The sophisticated annual 5-year strategic plan is replaced with strategic thinking at all levels of the organization throughout the year. Strategic information previously available only centrally to top management is available via locally area networks, and intranets to people throughout the organization. Although top management may still initiate the strategic planning process, the resulting strategies may come from anywhere in the organization. Planning is typically interactive across level and is no longer top-down. People at all level are now involved. So, muna ni ilahang gibuhat. Pag abot sa strategic management, mula gito naka-realize na tong tapangan, dili lagi ni pwedeng kita-kita ra kay warag lisod kaayo. Kitay nakabalo yung katong sa silong wala. Ya basi naapa to sila mas maayong ideas kaysa nato. So mao na ni siya, ilan ang gihimo nga people at all levels are now involved. You may be just a janitor. No, not just a janitor. You may be the janitor, but you may have one brilliant idea for the future of the company. So you're going to be involved and you're going to be part of the strategic plan. So, read that again, some of the highlighted words. Emphasize probable scenarios and contingency strategy. Actually, maayo ta ani. Bright ng mga human beings ani. How is that possible? Kabantay mo anang naamoy plano nga mga yug kwartas inyong mama. Or naamoy plan kanina lang kay uso ni katong wala pay COVID. Naamoy planong mananghid kay mulaag mo. So wala pa mo nananghid, ha? Emphasize probable scenarios and contingency strategy. So kahuna-huna nakaghimo nakag-drawing sa imong mind. Adto kung mama mananghid kay good mood siya. Yung pagkita nimo sa imong mama, hala dili siya good mood adto na kung papa. Na kay mga plan A, plan B nga. If good mood si mama, adto ra ko niya mananghid. Pwede pa ko makapangayo og balon. Dayon, if bad mood si mama, adto kong papa. Di mangayop. Kung okay ras papa, mangayop kog balon para laag. Dayon, unsa pa ikatulo? Kabalo na ko unsa ikatulo. Magpaybalo ra ko, di ra ko mananghid. Ato na, so mananghid na ka pa. Magpaybalo ko nga mulaag ko. O di ba? At the back of your mind, actually, you're already making scenarios and contingencies if ever this won't work, muna akong tubag dapat. If mo ni iyang tubag, muna ako tubag. Inhanap po ng company, mag-inhanap po na sila yung mga strategic options. Maghimo na silang scenarios. If this will happen to the environment, kaya na yung mahitabo nga inani, muna ato ang response. O di ba? Munang dili pud sila matibulaag, kabalo sila unsay angay nilang buhaton. And then they remain piburo na ay mga slight challenges or slight changes in their company. Pero ang uban nagpadayon ra gyapon, di ba? Kay kabalo naman sila unsay lang buhaton kay naka-create naman sila ana nga scenario. Na sila is information. The information is not just available to top management, kabalo na tanan. Again, nakahatag ng ideas ang across level, even the lowest level. So, okay na. Kabalo sila. Same na po na sa inyong ginabuhat. Actually, you're doing strategic management and strategies. You just don't know that you're doing it. So, those are the 4 phases of strategic management and how companies evolve from the basic to strategic. To be successful in the long run, company must not only be able to execute current activities to satisfy an existing market, but they must also adapt those activities to satisfy new and changing market. So, these are the benefits of strategic management. Actually, there are more than 50s that I have read on the benefits of strategic management, but I just give you a few. A clear sense of strategic vision of the firm. If you have already the strategy and you apply strategic management to your company, then one way or another you already set a vision on where you want your company or what you want your company to be in the future, despite the challenges that you may have probably. You will have a sharper focus on what is strategically important. There are things that may bother the company, either internal and external, but you know what to prioritize because you already have various scenarios on how to cope up with it. Improve understanding on a rapidly changing environment. Yes, the environment is constantly changing. Well, in fact, change is one of the things that is constant and certain. So, if you have already the strategy and you already have various scenarios on how to cope up if there are rapid changes in environment, then that's good for the company. This is A, B, and C are from Willen and Hunger of 2012. Allows an organization to be more proactive in shaping its own future. So if you are proactive, you already provide forecast or probably think of what might probably be happening in the market or in the industry, rather than just wait of what will happen and then react to it. Sometimes reaction to a certain situation is not good, especially if it is a drastic situation. That just like what is happening now during this pandemic. We are not proactive. Most of us are not proactive. Rather, we are just reactive on the current situation. For instance, because we are reactive, our reactions are somehow hasty, or the decisions that we made will not actually solve the problem but add to the existing problem. So inana siya, reactive naman ta. I think you can imagine all the reactions that we have during this pandemic. I know you can think that way. Its financial benefit is that organization have improved its sales, profitability, and productivity. If you know where you are going and what you want in the future, and you know what to pinpoint what is important and necessary, then one way or the other, you will improve your sales, not just sales, your profitability, and of course productivity, because you know what and where to use the resources that you have. Next is emphasize awareness of external threats and improve understanding of competitor strategy. You are doing strategic management. So technically, you will also have an understanding of how your competitor behaves, or if you can sense that they also have their own strategy, then you can also study it and of course understand it in order to make changes probably in your strategy, or a little alteration that you will be still ahead of them. Next is lastly brings order and discipline, new confidence of management and its people. This is by David in 2011. So because in strategic management you involve everyone in the organization no matter what their rank is, then one way or the other you will create a discipline and confidence among the people of the organization. So to further the benefits of strategic management, this will be discussed in the next slide. As you can see in the illustration, strategic management concept and causes, these benefits of strategic management will not be that good or great if there is no communication. Communication is the key to a successful strategic management. I hope you can see this on your screen, the flow of communication or the enhanced communication in a strategic management application. So enhanced communication, you're going to have dialogue and participation. So this dialogue does not only involve the top management, but it involves everyone. When you have a dialogue, you talk and there are responses. And of course, you participate in whatever interactions the company has. And then once you move forward, you have a deeper and improved understanding of the view of your lower managers probably, or the view of what the firm is doing, planning, and why. Because they may be new progress of the organization that you need to understand. If you go back, without dialogue and participation through communication, then you will never understand what are the views or ideas of other people. At the same time, those frontliners or those in the lower rank of the organization will not know what the firm wants and what are their planning, and of course why are they doing this. But if they already have a deeper understanding with that, then they will now commit a greater commitment. So once they are committed to the organization, you achieve the objectives, to implement the strategy, and of course to work hard. Communication involving everyone in the organization is actually an act of empowering these people. Empowerment is the act of strengthening employees' sense of effectiveness by encouraging them to participate in decision making and to exercise initiative and imagination, and rewarding for doing so, for participating. So participation is the key to gaining commitment for the needed change. So if you want to change something in the organization for future improvement or even present improvement, you need to participate. You need them to participate. At the same time, you as a leader needs to participate. So what are the results if this will happen? All managers and employees on a mission to help the firm succeed. So technically, if these are put together, collaborated together, then the mission will succeed. Strategic planning is an involved, intricate, and complex process that takes an organization into uncharted territory. It does not provide a ready-to-use prescription for success. Instead, it takes the organization through a journey and offers a framework for addressing questions and solving problems. Being aware of potential pitfalls and being prepared to address them is essential to success. So why is it that even if there is already a desire for strategic management, there are still pitfalls to it? Even a well-defined plan has its lapses, right? There are risks involved, and the higher the risk in business, the higher the return, as they say. So what are the pitfalls? If the pitfalls are the following: using strategic planning to gain control over decisions and resources. So look at this first pitfall. So technically, these are the minds of those individuals who wants power in the organization. And strategic management is not about being powerful within the organization, but it is about collaboration. Not having power, but empowering other people in the organization. Doing strategic planning only to satisfy accreditation or regulatory requirements. Of course, these are done by organization just to pass audit, just to pass probably ISO or other accrediting bodies, or it is a regulatory requirement but by the government or whatever institution you are in. It's gonna fail. Too hastily moving from one mission development to strategy formulation. We have phases of strategic management. We cannot just have a leap of faith about this. Sometimes we have to be staggered about this. We cannot just be hasty about it. Parehas pasagad-pasagad, rabag-do-do ba? We cannot do that in strategic management. Because if we do, well, we are bound for failure, or we are preparing for failure. Failing to communicate the plan to employees who continue working in the dark. So this is also one of the reasons why communication is the key to success. Because once you keep people in the dark, one way or the other, your plan will not work rather. Top managers making many intuitive decisions that conflict with the formal plan. So kana gani mo dugang kag na kay mga intuition, maayo ni na adjoy na formal plan padagan po kang imong plan. So that's not also good. Top managers not actively supporting the strategic planning process. So why are they not supporting the strategic planning process? Some of the reason is that these people does not want change. They are so conformed with the status quo, and that change fears them. So if you fear change, then one way or the other, you're gonna jeopardize the strategic management plan. Failing to involve key employees in all phases of the planning. Key employees means everybody in the organization that might affect the future of the organization. Failing to create a collaborative climate supportive of change. So it is not just pep talk. You cannot just say, tell your people, oh, you have to collaborate this because this is for a blah blah blah, for our future, for the betterment for everybody and all, and then you yourself are not doing it. It's just good talk but no action. So mayor kas panulti, wala po kas buhat, useless. So the same, one way or the other, you're bound for failures. Viewing planning as unnecessary or unimportant. Some people believe in seize the day, cherish the moment. But if it is an organization and if you believe there's still a future, you have to really plan and make this plan important. Or do not take this plan for granted. Being so formal in planning that flexibility and creativity are stifled. So planning is good. Formal planning is good, but being so formal about it that you are not accepting ideas or dapat inani ra jud siya. Dapat maglungag sa rice cooker ra jud, dili pwede sa kahoy. O dili pwede sa uling, sa rice cooker ra jud. So one way or the other, you are not welcome to other scenarios and strategies that may actually be help in improvement of your organization. So, remember guys, even a well-made plan or the best course plan has its own pitfalls if, as listed here, dili pa siya matuman, diba? According to Dale McConkie, plan are less important than planning. So, plan are less important than planning. Plan is just on the mindset, but planning is doing it. So another from Confucius. If a man takes no thought about what is distant, he will find sorrow near at hand. He who will not worry about what is far off will soon find something worse than worry. O diba? We also need to think of the future. So this is for the first part. I hope you understand it, and then if not, you can email me or provide your comments in the comment section, and then I'll go back with the second part. Thank you and have a good day, people.